Jillian Michaels, host of the Keeping It Real podcast, back with us now. I guess Abby's then saying that she's sort of the thought police, that she gets to decide what are and are not founded views?
Well, in that same interview, a clip you just showed from that interview, she flat out lies and says, we were just having a conversation about the arts. And she just randomly brings this up. When if you actually watch the entire clip, it's Julie Rodzinski, who refers to parts of the MAGA base as racist, makes a Hitler reference again to Trump, and then says, slavery is bad, we should talk about it. Upon which, by the way, I am fully educated and up to speed on the exhibits that the administration has taken umbrage with in the Smithsonian, none of which had anything to do with slavery. So with confidence, I turn around and I say, he's not trying to whitewash slavery, and I'm about to list all of these other exhibits, and the white culture poster was also in there, where then Richie Torres and Abby Phillips bring it back to slavery again. So we were having two separate conversations at the same time, which is unfortunate because no point could come out clearly. And once that came up, this is a narrative that I am deeply concerned about. It is not because I'm trying to center white people's feelings at the heart of this issue. It's because I am seeing a young generation choke on this narrative. And my deep concern is that this pendulum does not swing back to the middle. It swings much farther into an alt-right direction where it's begetting and breeding racism and hostility on both sides, which is why it is so important to tell both sides of history, not just one.
No, well, history always does have many sides, and I think when you exclude one, it sort of to fit the narrative, which is what seemed to have happened on that show and later on, to your point, it makes people angry. And I think what's interesting here, right, is, if the facts are on your side, you argue the facts. If the law is on your side, you argue the law. And what you learned, I think, by this event is, and if neither are on your side, the left, or this anchor in this case, pounds the table and calls you a racist.
Yeah. Yeah. And, if I could also elaborate a bit on what I mean by both sides, you touched on it earlier. So I got one fact out, which was from the 1860 census, which actually is when slavery was at its height in America, despite the fact that all of the states that fought solely for the Union had outlawed it, despite the fact that it was so overwhelmingly profitable. And yes, I know that the Southern economy was built on it and people in the South fought and died to keep it. Conversely, people in the North banned it and outlawed it because it was morally reprehensible. And then subsequently, 350,000, or you said 360,000, Union soldiers died to end it. And this is the part where I think you have to say, yes, there were great evils and there were dark chapters, but there were good guys. They came together to overcome it.
Unquestionably. My deeper point here, right, is there are racist people in the world, and racism is bad.
Yes, of course.
As is anti-Semitism, as is bigotry, as is for somebody's sexual orientation, whatever you want to call it. That seemed to be a universal agreement. The ... to that is when you don't like an argument and you call it racist just as a way to try and silence people, then it loses its meaning, and therefore, I think what your point is, then racist people sort of get away with it because the word has stopped meaning anything. Why do you think, for somebody like Abby Phillip, and I know you're not in her head, but you've been on her show a few times and you understand that part of the media ecosphere, is simply discussing the whole story of what was happening in America and the evils of slavery, and then I will call it the greatness and the heroism of those who fought to end it. Why is discussing both sides, why is that fairness so threatening?
If I had to guess at this, division sells. People win campaigns on it. They raise money on it. They get clicks off of it. I mean, all of this race baiting is for a reason. CNN is notorious for this. You know, we saw this one news story about how there was a shooter running around, and before they even knew the race of the guy, they said he's possibly white. And this kind of narrative, if I could quote a friend and somebody I follow and respect a ton, Kaizen Asiadu, he's like, when you make everything about white supremacy and you reject and negate any black degeneracy, it's going to beget white hostility, which in turn begets white degeneracy. And I think this narrative is about power. I think it's about control. And that's what you're seeing. Not only did Abby Phillip flatly lie about how the conversation started, she also flatly lied about what I said. She even goes, I can't believe you're trying to relitigate who benefited from slavery in America. I had just said this has been going on for thousands of years. So America's 249 years old. I then, in case she was confused, was like, that's not actually what I'm saying. And I said that twice. So the fact that she was so desperate to lie and mischaracterize and then shut down the conversation so that just in case anybody, you know, caught it, like, let's end it real quick, and then I'm going to go
and then double down
into
on
the
you
media,
being a racist.
and I'm going to perpetuate that exactly, which Abby Phillip doesn't do. Podcasts. This is one of the first I've seen her do. I was like, wow,
unless she's
dirty.
Unless she's scared. So here, I have a proposal for you. All right, if CNN is going to call you a racist, come have a show on NewsNation. We love you here. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Jillian.
I love you, Leland.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.